Davison pulls in behind there. Will Brown was the best start of everybody in that lead pack.
Lights starting to take effect. Turn 3, cold tyres, cold brakes, cold minds. But they are back into hardcore, vigorous racing. And already we've got rooster tails of mud with those in the dirt on the outside over the crest of the hill at 3. And splashing wide there was David Reynolds. Bryce Forward up on the outside in the Middies Electrical Racing entry. And look at how far and wide many of them are transiting across the line at turn 5. They can get away with that in the early phase of the race, but not later on.
Gee, there's been some wild stuff in the mid-pack. James Courtney was up 5 spots the last time I looked. But that start with Heimgartner and Slade, they missed the kick completely. So the front row got away really well, and then effectively the third row took their spot.
A little bit of the pressure's now come off Di Pasquale, so he's got a half-second margin, but it is wild back in the pack at the moment, as it always is, as they battle for supremacy.
Heard his exit, and David Reynolds was able to sneak around the outside there, remembering that David Reynolds is on the super soft tyre also. So Heimgartner in 2nd, Reynolds in 5th are the 2 lead cars that are on the super soft tyre. Thomas Randall further down the order, and Chris Pither, currently running 25th, are also on there. There's David Cauchi.
Trouble and smoke from the back of car number 20. So Scott Pye in the Seiko 5 racing entry, heaving smoke out of that car. So is that a power steering issue or worse? We've seen people tripping over curbs around here. So here's the first evidence of this.
Oh, was that a bumping duel then with Courtney? They've had a bit of history, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It may be the case that he ended up hooking it over the top of the curb. And this is where we picked up the shot and made the first remark. So Brock Feeney in the foreground in car number 88. Event number 1, the Repco Supercars Championship, Sydney Motorsport Park, our Beaurepaires Sydney SuperNight. We're opening our account for our new season. Racing under lights in Western Sydney. We're about 40 kilometres to the west of the CBD, and we've been racing now for 15 odd minutes, and that was an awkward moment for Macaulay Jones, skipping wide at turn 6. And you pause and hold your breath a little when they go onto the green stuff at the moment, because there is no grip, no traction, no control out there most of the time, because it's so heavily wet off the racetrack. They want to see what the weather's going to do. Brody Kostecki, Boost Mobile entry, he's in. And is that super soft going on that car? I can't actually see the colour.
Like yeah.
So that looked like a pretty standard stop there for Shane. Whoa. Will Brown. Whoa. That's a yeehaw moment.
Oh, how good's that? You don't know when you're coming back out where the cars are. You're totally blinded. And that was a nice moment. So here we are, we're on board with Heimgartner. Now watch this. Oh, it come past at about 230k, and he's able to get away with it. Will Brown, nice job. Also, nice job, Heimgartner.
So remember, with Brown, they only put 56 litres of fuel in the car. So he's got a little track position gain out of that as a result of having slightly less time stationary in the Boost Mobile entry. There's a couple of other people that probably just, I mean, the race is a little bit complicated at the moment, Mark, but there are a few people. Cam Waters has floated nearer the top. Nick Percat hasn't fully recovered from that difficult curb strike that he got in qualifying, but this is the story. And I can hear Richard Holway talking to Scott Pye at the moment, saying we've got fresh rubber on it, so they must have fixed the power steering. But you can see Katoomba up on the Blue Mountains. They'll be getting a bath up there at the moment. Curb cam view of turn number 1.
Oh, how was the slide there for Waters, and then the great save in behind from Hazelwood. 2 big moments on the outside of that corner at over 220k.
Super soft tyre goes on to Brock Feeney's car. You see the refuelling rig, which one hose is delivering fuel, one is dealing with the vent.
At the end of that big grass section into turn 2, he was off the road for 300 or 400 metres. As we look at Nick Percat trying to do the crisscross, but he got himself into the weeds, and there's, oh my God, that was close. He tried to cover down on Hazelwood, but but he come out of the grass, and there's a dive by Mark Winterbottom. That's a great pass. That is a very, very good pass. Impromptu, spontaneous, bang, down the inside, authoritative. And Hazelwood was not ready for that car to arrive. In fact, when he was going to turn into turn 5, there was nothing there. He wouldn't have realised there was an Irwin Commodore about to embark on a move. Beautifully done, Mark Winterbottom.
But that's the intrigue now.
Oh, he gives him a bump and he pushes him wide. That was always going to happen there. He tried to feint left and he flicked down to the right, Di Pasquale, and he ended up just resting the Shell Mustang. I was saying about that screen earlier.
Declared wet. I repeat, the circuit has been declared
wet. Here we go. So that's, I think, why I saw Shane almost go off the road before. That maybe it actually rained on that end of the track more than we think.
I can't see out of my windshield. Can you tell if it's raining? I can't see anything.
So
there you go.
So straight away, not being able to see is going to compromise Anton's lap speed. He can't see, doesn't know whether it's...
We're doing the stop. Let's drive nice and smooth. We've got another 10 to do. Thank you.
Got 10 laps to go, Ludo just said.
Oh, I wouldn't want to hear that.
I don't know how hard it's raining because I can't see, so I can't tell. I'm just driving, I'm just guessing.
He only just got it made. In fact, it looked like Will Brown was going to do the crisscross and go back up the inside. So have a look at this. Out of 5. Uses the road nicely and then plunges down the inside into 6. He had to run a little bit wide. Then Will turns it back. He looked like he was going to get back up the inside at the next one at Corporate Hill, and Will decided just to come out of the throttle there because they could have had a bump over the hill.
Imagine if they could both see where they were going.
Yeah, it'd be good racing, wouldn't it?
Good. So Anton's in way worse condition for visibility than Will, but his thing wasn't flash either. They've both got a lot of junk on the screen. I'm just looking at... Actually just focus on this for a moment before I get too tangled in strategy, because this is a bit lively here at the moment. Oh, and runs out of road, Jack Smith and Andre Heimgartner. That was awkward. Teammates.
It'll get done after the wheels. It's amazing how they don't think about the visibility too much. Have a look at that.
Let there be light.
Yeah, mate. So they're not waiting on fuel.
A little brake ducting, or maybe they've done it clean rather than anything in terms of change. So clear out of the radiator duct. It's going to give it a hit. Straight down the inside. He's got the super soft tyre on, Cam Waters, but he was able to fire straight down there, and then Brock's done the crisscross and flicked back on the left-hand side.
So if we go on the numbers that Andrew Edwards and Shane were talking about, and I just heard in the background that he may well be stopping imminently. So
good pace. So how does this happen? So Andre and Thomas having a little bumping duel. As he tried to come over, I don't know what that was. There must have been a bit of history to this.
Yeah, you'll need to go back in time to understand what that was all about.
Hold the brake pressure as we go up. About 3 more seconds. You're going to be good to go into a view. Go.
So that's Anton going by.
So that's the snapshot. Will Brown's our leader. Shane Van Gisbergen takes his final stop.
Di Pasquale firing down the inside and maybe pushing Will Brown wide and capitalise. He does the first part. Di Pasquale straight down there, gets it done. Will puts the white flag up and said, okay. But here comes Van Gisbergen. He's in such a strong position here.
He is. And the math earlier in the week suggested that there was a tiny advantage in the whole 3-stop. But the bit that had us all fumbled was what was the super soft tyre going to do and what was the weather going to do? Well, at the moment, the super soft has been more consistent and the weather's been non-existent. And now Shane Van Gisbergen's proving the 3-stop theory. So he rounds him up with ease, and now he's going to do exactly the same to Anton Di Pasquale. So he's done that relatively easily in the last several laps. So he's just cruising up onto the back of him now. Anton's probably going to put up a bit of a fight here, but there's not much he can do about the extra grip that he's got. Look at this, he just gets the traction out of the corner.
Done.
And that's sorted. Gives him a ton of space. And that's a change for the lead. Van Gisbergen now takes command. 10 laps remaining. Has he made that spot? Gee, it's dirty on the outside line there at turn 3. Not quite. Oh, interlocking those cars on the run down to 4. And that's now 16.5 seconds, Mark. So he's continued just to steam on out in that lead. So he's halfway down the front straight. And the next nearest car is miles behind at the moment.
And when you said before he was cruising, his fastest car on that lap again, he'll end up winning this thing by about 19 seconds.
Crazy,
so he gapped the field, and the 3-stopper, I mean, seriously, it's something that's been discussed in the background the whole time. They were very cagey, and no one anticipated them putting it to this effect. But they've done it and smashed everybody.
Big time, haven't they? So it was soft tyre for him at the beginning, then super soft, and then onto the soft tyre. And thank you, Reynolds and Van Gisbergen.
Just had a big slide then on the way into there. They need to have a spin on the last lap.
I think he's actually enjoying himself out there at the moment. You know, the car's obviously beautifully balanced. He's at the peak of his powers. Meantime, Heimgartner's just come into the pits after what should have been a solid top 10 performance for him. So, I don't know what the story is. I heard the car go by. That's moved a bunch of people up. Nick Percat's moved up as well. So I don't know what's going on there. All right, Shane Van Gisbergen lines it up. Whoa! Gets the big slide going. There's a celebration going on in that cockpit, and he gasses it up out of the final corner in second gear and slides it into third. Brings it onto the line. 450 races into his career, and Shane Van Gisbergen opens his 2022 account beautifully. Nailed it out of the final corner.
Awesome job, Pete. Thanks, Andrew. Welcome to the seat.
And that is victory number 55. Home in second place is Anton De Pasquale. 19.5 seconds behind, but an important start for him because he had to play catch-up last year when he started with a new team. By the time we got to Taylor Bendon, it started to turn around for him, but that puts him in the game in the championship right off the bat. And Chaz Mostert in third, our reigning Bathurst champion, and the men and women at the Red Bull Ampol Racing team celebrating a fine start.
And we know that Roland Dane's not here this weekend, but I'm sure he's sitting at the front of the television with a big smile on his face, watching his team do such a great job. Jamie Whincup, his daughter Jessica, the team in terms of structure has changed more probably this year than it has since Roland founded the team in 2003, and the elation you can see there. Andrew Edwards' first run with Shane Van Gisbergen comes out as the victor. Great strategy, well executed, beautifully driven. It's as good as it gets.
And he looks fairly comfortable in the car there at the moment, doesn't he? So there's our top 3. The familiar names, Van Gisbergen, De Pasquale and Mostert, 1, 2 and 3. Just off the podium, Will Davison, Brodie Kostecki a fighting drive. Will Brown struggling with those tyres at the end, home in 7th position. Curious to understand what happened with Heimgartner at the back end.
Out of fuel, I heard.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Right, so all of a sudden he's popped back into the field in 15th position. Confirmation of the results for you. Van Gisbergen home by almost 20 seconds in our opening race of the championship from Anton De Pasquale, then Mostert, Davison, Kostecki, Percat, Brown down in 7th after looking like he was going to get a podium. Slade, Feeney inside the top 10 in his debut with the main team, and James Courtney did a fine job in the opposite lock entry to come home in the top 10. Cam Waters recovering from his qualifying position. Bryce Forward, nice opening account for him in the middies entry. LeBrock, Hazelwood, Heimgartner. We'll follow that story for you and understand what happened. Beyond him, Winterbottom, Smith, Jacobson, Jake Kostecki, Randall, Holdsworth, Jones, Pither, then Reynolds, and unfortunately Scott Pye